Please help to me reach 1,000 subscribers. It began like any ordinary evening. Just me, my wife, and that heavy, familiar quiet that settles between two people who've forgotten how to reach each other. She sat at the edge of the mattress, eyes glued to her phone, the blue glow painting her face. I stood in the doorway searching for something, anything, to say that didn't sound like the same exhausted question I'd asked dozens of times. "You coming to bed?" I finally muttered. "Careful," she said flatly, not lifting her gaze. "I'm really tired." Those 3 words had become her nightly refrain. A soft, consistent dismissal. Her silent way of choosing her screen over my arms. I pretended it didn't hurt, pretended I hadn't been tracking how many nights had passed since we'd last been close. I switched off the lights and crawled into bed alone, listening to her footsteps wander through the house, knowing she wouldn't be lying beside me anytime soon. The next morning, her best friend Jenna dropped by like she often did. Jenna was different, bright, alive, the type who filled any room with her presence. She'd known my wife since college, long before I ever appeared in their story. I liked her, but she had a way of looking at me that I never fully understood. Part amusement, part sympathy, part something unspoken. As the two of them sat at the counter laughing over something on Jenna's phone, I noticed how easily my wife lit up around her. A spark I hadn't seen in months. She looked vibrant. And that hurt more than I expected. Half relief, half jealousy. Jenna stayed for dinner. After a few drinks, the conversation loosened. My wife talked more that night than she had in ages. We reminisced about old trips, silly arguments, those early years when we thought love was effortless. But even while we were laughing, I caught tiny things. Jenna's lingering glances when my wife wasn't watching, the softness in her voice when she spoke to me, the way she listened a little too intently. It wasn't flirtatious, not quite. It was curiosity, concern. Something hovering in the air a moment longer than normal. Later that night, my wife excused herself, saying she was exhausted, and went upstairs. The familiar ache returned. Jenna stayed and helped me clean up. The quiet hum of the dishwasher filled the room. She poured herself another glass of wine and offered one to me as well. "She's been distant, hasn't she?" she said quietly. The question hit harder than I expected. I tried brushing it off, but she didn't let it slide. "I can see it in your face," she added gently. "You look lonely." Her words cracked something open. For the first time I said it out loud, the truth I'd been carrying. That it wasn't just the lack of intimacy, it was feeling unseen, unnoticed, like I'd faded into the background of my own marriage. Jenna listened without interrupting, her expression soft but impossible to read. After a long silence, she whispered words that have echoed in my mind ever since. "You should be seen." When I looked at her, really looked, her face was close, her eyes warm, and for a moment the air shifted. She gave a small, sad smile before saying something I'll never forget. "I'm not tired." Time stopped. My heart slammed in my chest. There was no teasing in her voice, no seduction, just truth. She didn't lean in, didn't touch me. She simply offered a moment of vulnerability. A choice. I didn't move. I couldn't. Behind every part of me that longed for comfort was the memory of the woman sleeping upstairs, the woman who once made me feel whole but no longer seemed to see me at all. Jenna looked away first. "I shouldn't have said that," she murmured. She stood, grabbed her purse, and before I could respond added, "You deserve better than being invisible. Don't forget that." Then she walked out, leaving me alone with my heartbeat thundering and the weight of everything that almost happened, but didn't. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake staring into the dark, listening to my wife breathing beside me, wondering when we had drifted so far apart. Wondering if she'd care enough to notice the distance. At one point she shifted in her sleep, her hand brushing my arm, and I felt something inside me crack. Because even through the anger and the loneliness, I still loved her. I just didn't know how much longer love could survive like this. The next morning she acted like nothing was wrong. She smiled over her coffee, asked how I slept, kissed my cheek before heading to work. I watched her walk out the door wanting to shout, "You're losing me," but I didn't. I just stood there, wondering if she would notice when the day came that I finally slipped away. A few days later, Jenna texted me a short message. "Sorry about the other night. I care about both of you." I stared at it for a long time before deleting it, not out of anger but understanding. She hadn't been trying to tempt me. She'd been trying to remind me I wasn't invisible. Months have passed since that night. My wife and I are still together, but we've had long, honest conversations. I told her how lonely I'd been, how unseen I felt. She cried and admitted she hadn't realized how bad things had become. We're working on us. Therapy, time together, little gestures that actually matter. But sometimes when the house is silent and she's asleep beside me, I still hear Jenna's whisper. I'm not tired. Not as temptation anymore. As a warning. A reminder that love needs effort. That neglect can break even the strongest connection. And that the moment one person stops trying, someone else will always be ready to say the words you've been starving to hear. My wife told me she was too tired again, but her best friend just smirked and whispered, I'm wide awake.